So good, so interesting, and by making the charts, it made it so clear.
Yeah.
She really did a great job.
She's an excellent teacher.
Yeah.
What was that little box on the bottom of the chart that we couldn't fit in the whole page? What did that say? Does any?
That was another level of what could or could not be a TAVEL, if it was allowed or not. But I'll be sending it out so you can all get it.
Thank you.
I think eventually when I made it smaller, everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it so small that no one could see anything.
Okay. Barbara, if every time you graze, you just take a bite that's smaller than an olive, you see you're out of everything.
Right.
Or if you stand and walk, then you're not eating.
Smaller than an olive. Just eat less than an olive's worth, and
You're home free. One bite, a circle around the house.
But what she said, and I've always wondered this, and I've never really gone into detail, what we think of as eating an olive or an egg is much less than what they were talking about,
Yes.
much less.
Right.
And also why at like a kiddush luncheon, you never have like a davening, you never bench together because everyone's standing.
No.
It's like when you're on a diet, we joke about how the calories don't count if you're standing.
You're standing.
At least I've done that. And she kind of said, well, it doesn't count for needing to say Katamazona if you're just standing up. It's kind of nice.
But it also spoke to when people get up and leave shul early at a
Yes.
luncheon or a dinner.
Yes.
To scoot out before they're stuck, shall we say, saying the Birkat Hamazon. And what they're really doing, saying to the community is, we don't value being part of this community, and we're going to scoot out.
Yeah, it's like us.
really
It's like us.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
So I just ordered the frozen wild salmon from,
And then thanks for sharing. You could send it to us.
It started it.
I know, it sounds good.
I know. She
What a
could
big
work
crowd.
on it.
1, 2,
All right,
3,
we're gonna
4,
begin
5,
as
10.
we get everybody on. Let's mute everybody so we don't hear or be jealous of the wild salmon order from Jeanette. Thank you. All right, so I know people are just scooting on where these Sundays we do get a little smaller group because I think everyone thinks it's the weekend. But so for all of us that are on that, we were talking about the mission study we just had this afternoon, which was really wonderful. And so for those of you that stayed on, came on, or just joined us now, welcome back. And this afternoon, I just wanted to bring up one thing before we begin. And I put it on Facebook. This is the week that I was going to visit 3 sisterhoods. I was going to Oklahoma City for Shabbat. I was going on Tuesday night to work with 2 sisterhoods in Kansas City. And then on Thursday night, I was flying to Cincinnati. Needless to say, I'm sitting in Florida and going nowhere. But today is the anniversary. It's a 25th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombings. And I had gone for the 10th anniversary. I'm friendly with so many people in Oklahoma City. We've had an exchange with 9/11 families and the Oklahoma City community since 9/11, when that Oklahoma City group came to New York to be with us to say, we know what you're going through. And it's been long relationships that have now spanned 18 and a half years. And so I have a lot of friends in Oklahoma City. I was going to be there for Shabbat, and today was supposed to be at the memorial service, which didn't happen. So I put it on Facebook, and if you're not my Facebook friend, please befriend me. But I just, as we're saying these prayers today, I wanted to be mindful of the 168 people that were just murdered on the soil for no reason. And so please hold them in your thoughts. And if you want to check them out or look at the Oklahoma City pictures, the chairs, and read more about that and remember them on this day. So with that, we're going to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. And I actually said to my children this morning when we were watching the news that you were supposed to be at that memorial service in Oklahoma. So when we say Mourners Kaddish today, we will keep them in mind as well. Many different things are taking place now, different ways are just postponing. I was supposed to be heading to Minnesota this weekend, so it's disappointing, but at the same time, I'm personally really enjoying spending time together studying the Psalms with everybody. I finally, we've always been using Zoom, so all these things I never knew before, but one is that we now stream this live on and I got it on the Women's League page as well. And then you can share it and have people, see people having like viewing parties. So you can have your friends view this and they can see what Women's League is doing. And we're helping not only our members, but other people as well. And I hope that after all this, the new normal is back and we can go out of our homes, that we'll still have this wonderful connection with Women's League, and we'll have even more people involved with Women's League because of all that we're doing. So I personally want to welcome, my mom's usually with us, but my mother-in-law is with us today as well. William Cruciata is the name. I saw her somewhere, and I have someone who's also quietly listening, my next generation, the SF. So Sammy's on as well. I am going to share the Psalm today. Yes, you see my Facebook page, but 1 minute. Margie, you see that I always have Margie on my top. You see the Psalm, correct? Okay. So Psalm 18, we've been doing for a few days. I'm sorry to say that today is the last day of Psalm 18. It is one of the longest Psalms that we've gotten so far, but they're longer ones. So hold on when we get to the later ones. But Psalm 18 has 51 verses, and we're starting with verse 36. We did the previous 35 verses. It talks a lot. It's a positive psalm of David discussing how he has been triumphant. He has won, and he's grateful not for himself, but for God. He's putting all of his ability to be victorious because of his faith in God as well. So you'll see, I'm going to point out a few different places where some of the Hebrew you'll understand, or you'll see how it's used in modern day language. So we start with verse 36. You've given me the shields of your protection. Your right hand has sustained me. Your care has made me great. The your, of course, is God. And we have this, I like seeing themes and things. So the theme of anthropomorphism, of giving God the right hand there. So God does have some human-like qualities. You've let me stride on freely. My feet have not slipped. Now, if you think about it, this is an important concept. I like to relate some of this to what's going on in Israel today and what it's like. So yes, the grounds might be different, but if you've ever tried to walk on the cobblestone and the stone in Israel when it's when it's raining or snowy or anything, you could easily slip and hurt yourself. And he's like running away from people. He could have slipped, but literally God kept him upright. His feet did not slip. I pursued my enemies and overtook them. I did not turn back till I destroyed them. So David didn't look back. He wanted to complete his mission of truly fighting off all of his enemies. I struck them down and they could rise no more. They lay fallen at my feet. So it could be a little violent that he really beat them completely. You've girded me with strength for battle. You subdued my assailants before me. So God gives him strength to be able to stop his enemies. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight. Those who hated me, I destroyed. So the psalmist truly, David knows that he has enemies, that he has now been victorious. And this is one of the key verses. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight. So they ran away. They were not coming after him. They were scared. His enemies were out of there. They cried out, but there was none to deliver. Cried to the Lord, but God did not answer them. So this was a wonderful commentary that I read about. In verse 42, they cried out, but there was none to deliver. So what I was reading about was that his enemies said, you know what, David's so successful with his God, we're going to pray to his God as well. So they decided, like, you know what, I'll give up my gods and I'll go turn to David's God and I'll pray to that God. But God knew that it wasn't a legitimate, meaningful prayer, that they weren't they weren't strong with their words, and it wasn't sincere. So God didn't listen to his enemies' prayers, even though they were trying to say, you know, I'm going to turn to David's God now. Our God knew that it wasn't a sincere prayer, and he rejected. I broke my own rule, and God rejected and did not accept the prayer. I try not to give God a male or female. Okay, so verse 43, I crushed them fine as dust before the wind. I poured them like mud in the streets. So this was like an incredible image of like really making people into dust and poured them like mud in the streets, like they were nothing. So this is definitely a way of translating in more modern language, because I don't really think that in the time of David they called their roads streets, but this is how translation is an interpretation. You delivered me from the attacks of people. You've set me at the head of the nations. People I know now serve me. So that is there was exchange in guard, basically, that David was able to beat the people. And not only did he stop his enemies, but they are now serving him in verse 44. As soon as they heard of me, they obey me. Foreigners cringe before me. So he's very confident now. There's a great buildup of confidence in David. I don't know if one would say it's a little bit of arrogance, but he's very confident that now when they hear about him, they cringe. They like fight back. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with him anymore. Foreign peoples, verse 46, lose courage and come trembling out of their strongholds. So people have really seen that David is on top of the world. This changed. That he is now the leader and that they should fear him because God is behind him. So he's a person with experience. He's an experienced person. He's a wise veteran of his experiences of life. And he's gone through a lot, and he has this renewed confidence in himself and how much he can do. We're going to verse 47. But he's not, don't think that he's completely arrogant. He still believes that all of his victory came because of his belief in God and because God lives there. God is with him. The Lord lives, blessed is my rock, exalted be God, my deliverer. So this isn't an exact lineup of the Hebrew. In the Hebrew, it's Chai Adonai uvaruch suri veyarum Elohai ishi. So Chai Adonai, that God should live. Baruch suri, tsur is the rock, that God, and it's personally, I love the image when we describe God as a rock because it's so solid. It's like a definite way to protect and shield us. The Lord has vindicated me, who subdues nations under me. So God has helped him, who rescued me from my enemies, who raised me clear of my adversaries, saved me from lawless people. So God has been there all the way for him to help against his enemies. For this I sing your praise among the nations, Lord, and him your name. So this is why he praises God, so others will also know about him. God accords great victories to God's king, keeps faith with God's anointed, with David and his offspring forever. So now this is how things just come together. We just studied the Mishnah, chapter 7, which was dealing with Birkat HaMazon, the grace after meals. And if you're familiar with the grace after meals, this verse will sound familiar. Verse 51. Magdil Yeshut Malko ve'oseh chesed limshecho liDavid u'lizaro ad olam. It's the end of the Birkat HaMazon. It's the end of this psalm as well. So here it's Magdil. Now you'll have a nice little lesson here. And I want to see people. Okay. So here it says Magdil, but that is the weekday. This is how everything connects and comes together. This is the weekday version of the Birkat HaMazon. But on Shabbat and holidays, you say Migdol Yeshuot Malko. Why Migdol? Because in Shmuel Bet, in the second book of Samuel, it has the same verse, but it says Migdol, not Magdil. So this is I think this is actually accurate, but I remember learning with one of my teachers that because it was in Shmuel Bet, which if you did the acrostic Shin Bet, it says like a cross reference. Shin Bet could be either Shmuel Bet or Shabbat. So someone said, you know what, because it's Shin Bet Shabbat, on Shabbat we say Migdol Yeshuot Malko, and on the weekdays we say Magdil Yeshuot Malko, and that's why we say different words on different Shabbat and on weekdays. So now you can see the origin right here in our psalm of the original of the weekday Magdil Yeshuot Malko. So it connects greatly to the Mishnah we just studied, and it also connects to that we're going to have Birkat HaMazon classes to teach people to learn about Birkat HaMazon, to do Birkat HaMazon, even if we're not going to be together for convention. Literally, we can virtually say Birkat HaMazon together. Yes. And I'm going to say what Paula wrote to me in a minute. And you can see the connection. And also I can't, you by now you should know that I'm either going to tell you about where there's anthropomorphism and God has body parts, and also our word, where's that Waldo, where's chesed, right here in the sentence. Osei chesed limshicho, keep faith. So it's not only that chesed is acts, but it's also a mind, a way of thinking of chesed that we have here as well, that we have faith in God's anointed. So here we have our where's our chesed in this. There was one other Hebrew that I wanted to point out to you in verse 49. Me'ish Hamas Tasileni. So the Hebrew, that's the Hebrew. The English was translated, who raised me clear of my adversaries, saved me from lawless people. So Hamas is lawless, and we know Hamas from those now in the Middle East as well. Other things I wanted to add in here is that David was not only fighting literal enemies, but also he had ideological enemies as well. And he was able to be triumphant over them as well, even turning people around. And that some of his enemies were trying to pray to God, our God, as well. So he was trying to get them to come over to his side, and he had some ideological changes in some enemies. So he ends with praising God, and not only praising God, but also thanking God. And I'll point out one other thing with that verse. It's also, so we don't actually know how to pronounce this exact word, the Magdil, Migdol. The Hebrew, as you can see, it's in parentheses. It's because it's a Ketiv Ukri, like it's written one way, but it's not necessarily the vowels are exactly, we don't know exactly the pronunciation. So that could be another reason why we say it one way on Shabbat and one on holidays and one day during the week in the Birkat Hamazon. In addition, it is different grammatical forms. And not only is David thanking God, praising God, but also realizing that in verse 51, Ulazaro ad olam, he's not only praising and thanking God for now, but for the offspring as well, for the future generations. So it's very important to think about the descendants and what comes afterwards, so we don't just think of this exact moment. There were a few things in the comments that I wanted, that was one. And yesterday, Haftorah, when they were dancing with the ark, and we hear David playing music and dancing, it connects to how he sings and dances and gives us his beautiful poetry in the Psalms. Those who commented in the chat, were there any other comments? I believe today I was able to unmute. I think you can unmute yourselves, or you can raise your hand. Okay, so if you want to have a head start, tomorrow is Psalm 19, and you can play similar to the Where's the Chesed. You can check to see if you can recognize where this Psalm 19 is used in our liturgy. You say it often, I might not realize it. During Pesach, we didn't say it as frequently. And I wanted to share with everyone today, as opposed to the usual prayer that we say, I wanted to add a special prayer today for those who are fighting this coronavirus and for all of us. And not necessarily sing, has a different mood today, but a prayer. Margie, is it on? A Jewish prayer? Excellent. Okay, thank you. Margie's always right underneath me, so that's why I turned to her. A Jewish prayer for healing in the coronavirus epidemic. She's only underneath me on this screen, that's for sure. She's side by side, arm in arm with me, always. Harachaman, compassionate one, you are Rofeh Chol Basar Umuafli La'asot, healer of bodies who does wondrous deeds. The wondrous bodies that you have made for us now feel more fragile. The openings by which we perceive your world now feel more vulnerable. We're anxious and frightened by the uncertainty of what is to come. We love the lives we lead, and we fear that disruption may come. We love our friends, families, and neighbors, our children, and our elders, and we fear what illness may come. We pray for healing of body and of spirit, speedy and complete, for all those who are ill from the coronavirus, both from far from us and close to home. And I will scroll down momentarily once it works. Strengthen the hands of our caregivers. Give of your healing powers to our medical personnel and mental health professionals. Give of your wisdom to our decision makers and public health officials. Strengthen our hearts to confront this challenge. Give us of your discipline that we may not yield to panic and dread, but may protect ourselves with appropriate precaution and calm determination. Give us of your compassion that we may not yield to prejudice or bigotry, but may reach out to our neighbors and kindness and solidarity. We are grateful for our bodies and the life you have given us. We are grateful for our communities and our congregations who see us and support us. We are grateful for those who are working to protect us. We are grateful for your love and your sheltering presence. We know that we are not alone. We are together in community. This was a message written by a colleague, Rabbi Guy Austrian, and I believe we have sent it out in our Women's League this week. And yes, I know, I thought I had I spelled something wrong. I'll be correcting it, don't worry. And sorry, I'm just reading. So Hetty Bellman wrote, when you mentioned Hamas just now for Sam and Hamas in Israel lawless, did we name them in Israel or did their name become Hamas officially? I don't think it's a name we gave them. I think they gave it to themselves. So it's a common word. It's actually when in the store, the first place I believe that we see the word Hamas in the Torah and in our texts is in the story of Noah, that the people around him, there was Hamas. So it's an ancient word that we know and that we have used. So in addition to all of those that we remember from Oklahoma City, does anybody have any yurt sites today? I believe someone had told me that they had, but I can't remember exactly who.
Is it appropriate to say something for Yom HaShoah yet?
Not yet. I will be doing that on Tuesday. And we're going to be adding some special prayers and readings to our Psalms and Kaddish on Tuesday.
Thank you.
We, of course, always remember those who perished in the Holocaust today, especially those who died in Oklahoma City, those who have died during this COVID-19. And together we're going to try to read together the Mourner's Kaddish. And it's on your screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yitzgadal, May the one who brings peace to God's universe bring peace to us and to all Israel. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
I muted all, but I'm going to unmute, or Margie can unmute herself. Oh, she did already. Good. All yours.
Just again, thank you. Thank you for the Mishnah class before. Thank you for joining us today. We'll have our regular back to 1 o'clock tomorrow, of course. And on Tuesday, we'll have a Yom HaShoah observance with, as the rabbi said, special prayers and thoughts. So is there anybody, no one sitting Shiva this week? Roberta, you wanted to wave or you wanted to say something? Okay, she's waving. But thank you. Thank you all. And we'll see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock.
We also have another program tomorrow. Barbara Ezring, you want to just,
Yes, tomorrow we have Naomi Gratz, who
Oh.
lives in Israel, who's going to talk to us about Elisheva, who is the wife of Aharon, specifically about how she reacted. This is about Midrash. She's talking to us about Midrash, but specifically how she reacted to the death of her two sons, which was in last week's Torah portion.
And what time is that?
That's at 2 o'clock.
And it's a separate number, so people have to get off of this and go on to that.
correct.
Okay, just want everyone to hear that. Okay.
And then later in the week, we'll have a poetry class as well with Sarah Stern, our communications and marketing director.
Now that's on Thursday at 2 o'clock.
Right, later in the week, Thursday. And the 22nd, we have something going on every day. And the 22nd, for those sisterhood presidents, we have an amazing program that's going to be going on as well, a Zoom with Toby and Carol. So if you need any of that information, contact us. Marlene, thank you. I appreciate that. And
What time is the poetry class on Thursday?
2
I
o'clock.
believe it's at 2?
Right after the Kaddish psalm reading, you have a few minutes for a break, and then you can get back to the other.
Right. And Razel will be sending out lots of information. Thank you, Razel. I think I send her new information like every hour to send out to people as well. Roberta?
I wanted to tell you that on Friday afternoon, unfortunately, it was already Shabbat in the East, but at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon, they had a concert from the Soraya, Soraya, which is the name of the theater from Cal State Northridge here in California. Niv Ashkenazi, he did a beautiful concert. It was from the Violins of Hope. And you can see it now. It's already recorded so that anyone who wants to see it, it was really very beautiful. They've had to postpone the real concert, but he was able to go and to perform in the actual auditorium. He has 4 pieces that are beautiful, and I would tell everybody to try